Shemel Shai. Yahweh Shemel Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh. Barakatah Yahweh Shai.
Shah La War.
Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despised thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But the Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful that got there pushing the word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right. And what I want to go into today, dealing with, a lesson dealing with shameful spewing on thy glory. Okay. And this is dealing with Esau Edom, the society, that this man has established in pure wickedness and rebellion against the Most High. Okay. And we see, we see it in this most potent form over here in the West. Okay. And especially over here in America. Okay. And America is really in the image of an Edomite. Okay. Rebellion, dysfunction, chaos, violence. Well, these are all traits of Esau Edom. Okay. And these traits are more prominent over here in America than anywhere else. All right. And what's happening, the world is putting up a mirror and showing America itself, man. America is being told about itself. Okay. Because for the longest, America has been able to, push this narrative of having, the moral high ground, the fighters of freedom, the fighters of liberty, equality, all these words which are nothing but psyops and enchantments. Okay. This illusion of freedom, this illusion of equality, this illusion of the government cares about you more than anything, the illusion, all right, of, this utopia of how society should function. Okay. And that's been the identity of America for a long time, so people, for the longest looked at America as the model of how the whole earth should run. Okay. And as time went on, the moral fabric of America, just deteriorated because it was founded in wickedness. You see, this whole wholesome, you know, this whole wholesome Edomite Christian, image that America once had, that Ned Flander, just the Edomite, Edomite Christian man was just this smart genius, family loving, stand up, you know, character. Okay, all that was all an illusion. Okay, it was a magic trick. Okay, the devils has all they've always been wicked. Okay, it's always been, XEX trafficking, pedos, and all type of madness that these devils have had going on. Okay, but they was able to put their suit on, slick their hair back. Okay, put on the lab coat. Okay, whatever outfit they need to put on and get on camera and play as if they had it figured out. They had society figured out. Okay, and if they was the leaders, okay, of what they call this new world order, which America was a tool used to influence the earth and complete wickedness, because the new world order is based off rebellion to the Most High, and America was used to glorify that rebellion to make it look like rebellion is the way. Okay, but what we're seeing now is a shameful spewing. Okay, and showing the foolishness of this society, how ass backwards it is. Okay, it was cute for a moment. Okay, but as a generation have passed, okay, this place has spiraled into complete, atrocity, man. Okay, American society, the social norms in America, okay, are the most toxic, dysfunctional, chaotic, violent. Okay, people have true, mental illness is the norm of America, man. Trauma is the norm of America, man. Okay, ass backwardness is normal for America, man. Okay, America has been debased. You look at the people have been debased like no other place, man. Okay, people what they call, they say, well, third world. See, because America looks at other nations, because one thing America shows, the Esau shows America the rest of the world as if the rest of the world is just inferior to America. So Americans have this superiority complex to anything outside of America is inferior. Their way of life, their way of doing things, the customs of, other nations. Well, America, paints these other places as inferior. Okay, and behind. Okay, so most people in America, which I know I thought like that, man. I thought like that coming up, man. But as we learn righteousness, we truly see how off America is, man. As we learn righteousness, we really see how off this place is, man. As we're coming back to true wisdom, we're seeing how foolish this place is, man. Okay? And the world is putting that mirror up to America, man. And she's not the baddie that she thinks she is, man. Okay? So you go to Habakkuk 2 and 6, it says, you will be filled with disgrace instead of honor. Because America is now being looked at as a disgrace, man. American culture, okay, the American economy, okay, everything about America now is being looked at as a disgrace in the world, man. Okay, it says now drink and expose your own nakedness, man. Okay, because as generation after generation have taken down the wine of Babylon, each generation has become more intoxicated. Okay, more delusional, more out of touch with reality, man. Okay, so now it's to the point to where this generation is just out there, man. It's just exposed, man. Like someone just intoxicated and just saying and doing any goddamn thing. And that's the American society now, man. But people are just out here saying and doing any goddamn thing. Nothing makes sense. Okay, and it's going to lead to the cup of wrath in the Lord's right hand will come around to you, O destroyer, man. Okay, so it's a cup of wrath that's prepared for this place. All right, as people constantly take down the wine of Babylon and get worse and worse and worse over here in America, man. Eventually, it's just going to lead to wrath, man. The Lord going to hand out a cup of wrath. Okay, well, that's going to be, the plagues leading all the way up to the nukes, man. Eradicating this place from the face of the earth. And it says to you, O destroyer, because America has destroyed, okay, structure. It has destroyed order. You see, completely turned everything upside down. You see, it says an utter disgrace will be on your glory, man. Okay, so America used to, have this pump. They used to throw their yeah, they used to, parade themselves, as the model of how the world should be. They used to parade themselves as just this moral, upstanding, justice loving, freedom loving, people loving, and it's the complete opposite, man. Okay, that's why when you go to Isaiah 19, and this is what's at the forefront. Okay, this is what these nations are calling out, and beginning, of course, with the prophets. Okay, because the Lord put the Spirit on the prophets to call this place out for what it is, man, for what it truly is, man. Okay, it's an evil empire. It's an empire of rebellion. Okay, it's a society of confusion. That's why it's known as Babylon the Great. Okay, because Babylon goes into Babal, which is confusion, but this place is great confusion, man. Okay, extraordinary confusion over here in America, man. Okay, but they call it normal. Okay, this man has gradually made chaos and confusion normal. Okay, Isaiah 9 and 13. All right, let's go here. Um, I'll keep going with Isaiah 9. I'm going to go to Isaiah 19. Salaki. I'm going to go to Isaiah 19. All right, so let's go here to the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, verse 13. It said, the princes of Zoan have acted like fools. Now, Zoan, represented, these wise, the place of, the wise men of Egypt. And they will have, their councils. Okay. So this represent, the leadership of ancient Egypt. You see? So now you look at, spiritual Egypt, America, and you look at the leadership, man. It was always bad, but it just began to get worse. This place was built on rebellion and witchcraft, as we went into before. Okay? But it just has become worse. And see what these devils are truly about. They're bringing it to the forefront because the new world order, man. These devils are bringing all the lewdness and wickedness that they want at the forefront of society. They're just bringing it to the forefront now. Okay, the music and the music is nothing but rituals and incantations now. You see enchantments now. Okay, so everything about this system has become more and more satanic, and Satan is all about rebellion, chaos, dysfunction, violence, lewdness. Okay, and the destruction of any type of righteousness, man. It said the princes of Zoan have acted like fools. The princes of Memphis are deluded and entertain false hope. Those who are cornerstones of her tribes have led Egypt astray, man. So the leadership, okay, because it's the government has become more and more corrupt. Because you had, the elites, they was here from the beginning, okay, and they was, embedded within government, okay, and over the years they just began to have more and more control. You had certain, there was a time when, when the government did have some type of, integrity and morale. Okay. They wasn't, it just wasn't just wide open to where, the food was poison, the air was poison. Okay. Diseases, just being, stored and released on the people and all these different things. It wasn't as diabolical as we see now. Now it's just completely diabolical, man. Okay. And the common, the common American person, is just capable of so much wickedness now with no remorse. Okay, so Egypt has gone far astray, man. You see, now wickedness is at its peak, is at its height. Okay. Verse 14 said, the Lord has mixed a spirit of distortion within her. Her leaders have caused Egypt to stagger in all that she does, as a drunken man staggers in his vomit. Okay. So the Lord has put a perverse spirit upon Egypt, man, to where Egypt has just, progressively become worse and worse. Like I say, each generation, okay, becomes more intoxicated from the wine of Babylon than the generation before. Okay. Each generation becomes more and more, okay, indoctrinated, but really, in what's it called, intoxinated, but really the intoxication is the indoctrination, man. Okay. So now, you look at American society, it's like a nigga that's drunk or a woman that's drunk, you know, ass hanging out, trying to tell the world how they should be, just staggering all over the place, throwing up, trying to tell everyone else about themselves, sliding in the throw up, getting up, okay, trying to tell the world how they should live. And that's how the world looks at America, man. Now I have this video with this guy here, Shahid Boston. So he does a lot of critiquing of Western society. And he does it from the viewpoint of a Muslim. Now, like I say, Islam, all right, is a false religion. Okay, when you really get into it, it's rooted in Satanism. Okay, when you get into the top levels of Islam, okay, when you get into the origin of Islam. Now, you have certain tenets within Islam that, because you go into the Quran, it's it's a spin-off of the Bible, but it has a lot of BS in it. It's infused, it's corrupted. Okay, it has corruption in the Quran. So the Quran is not the way. Islam is not the way. Okay. Now there are certain tenets where you got these sincere Muslims, that live by these tenets, and Islam does have structure. Now you go into those Islamic states, crime is low. They do have structure. Okay, these certain Islamic countries that enforce certain Islamic laws, which any law that makes any law that gives structure to a society, even when you go into Islam, is rooted into the laws of the Bible. Might be worded a little different. Okay, you can go into the technicalities of it, but ultimately, these laws that bring structure from Islam, a lot of these are tenets that come from the Bible. Okay, because Muhammad, all right, he was around Jake. Okay, he spent a lot of time, as he was like a courier driver, those camels. He was kind of like a cab slash, merchandise hauler between all right, Ishmael and Jake, you know. So a lot of the Quran is influenced by the Bible, okay? So you see, look, specks, okay, of our customs in Islam, okay? But ultimately the source of righteousness is the Bible, okay? Because it deals with the true power, which is the Heavenly Father Yahweh through His Son Yahweh Shai. Allah is a false God. You go into their rock, Mecca, all that is off. Okay, even the whole cobblestone, it goes back to the clitoris of a woman. You know, the moon. You go to Islam, the moon. It's because Islam, they had 365 gods that they used to worship. All right, Ishmael. Okay, so we can go on and on. All right, but just putting that disclaimer out there. Islam is off. He makes some points, but Islam is off. Okay? Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua is the way. There's only one power. His name is Yahweh, not Allah. Okay? Which Allah just means power in the Hebrew. Okay? That's why you go in the beginning. Okay? The Allah Hayim. Allah Hayim. And that's plural. This God's plural. Okay? But they're talking about Yahushua and the angels. Okay? They were doing the bidding of, the Heavenly Father and creating. All right? The earth and everything as we see it today. Okay, but just putting that disclaimer out there. Okay, because he speaks from a reference point of Islam. Okay, which is off. So it won't be no confusion. Okay, he just goes in. Okay, on Western society, he makes some valid points, and he one of these Jakes that's articulate. I believe he's a Jake. Could be wrong. I believe he's a Jake. So you had this woman, I guess, was commenting on one of his videos and asked, could, uh, the women of Islam, could they speak out? Okay, and you could tell he was triggered because he goes in, god damn, you know. So let's go here. Like I say, he says things that make sense, but he goes off when he tries to push Islam is the way. Okay, but Islam, you gotta say, these Islamic countries, they do have a lot of structure. Even Edomites, when I used to do ride share, these Edomites that have traveled to these Islamic nations said they never been around. Um, they never felt so secure. Crime was low, and it was just order and structure like they never seen. Okay, but that goes into them applying Eastern customs to run the government. Okay, Esau teaches that the East is inferior. You think of, these Arabs, you just think of the Taliban, and you see ISIS, and that's the light that they push. Okay, but when you go into the East and even beyond Islam, man, certain rural areas of Eastern society, even in Africa, this Jake with I Show Speed, he been in Africa, and people are looking at Africa in a new light. Okay, you look at those customs, and Esau teach you that everything is inferior outside of America. You know, like they don't, propaganda, man. But let's play this, and we'll make some points if need be.
Westerner, and that women in the West have more rights than women anywhere else in the world. You see that trick? No, the accusatory question has multiple purposes. It's serving multiple purposes at once. And we're supposed to take that seriously. I mean, someone from the country that gave us Jeffrey Epstein, gave us Diddy, gave us OnlyFans, gave us Barbie, the country that ranks the highest in the production and the consumption of pornography, a country where 1,500 women are murdered every year in so-called domestic violence, where homicide is the leading cause of death for pregnant women, where 24 women per minute in your country are victims of sexual assault or some form of physical violence or stalking. That's over 12 million women per year. Over a third of the women in your country are clinically depressed. And good night, how could they not be? Over half of all adult men between the ages of 18 and 45 have OnlyFans subscriptions. And almost 2 million of your women are selling themselves on that platform. It's dystopian. You people spend over $1 billion a year on breast implants because you drummed it into women's heads that their bodies are the source of their self-worth, are the source of their value in your society. And that those bodies have to conform to a very rigid, pornographic, cartoonish male fantasy criteria. I mean, you've gone so far in defining women by their body parts that if a man gets those same body parts surgically manufactured and fastened to himself, then you'll make him Woman of the Year. Did you know that the average age of first exposure to pornography in your country, in the United States, is 11? 11. Means you start training your boys on degrading and objectifying and sexually abusing women before they even reach puberty. I'm telling you, your whole society is a grooming gang. It's just one giant grooming gang. Not to mention the vile and the vulgar language that you use about women, the derogatory words you use about women, the names you call them, and you normalize this kind of denigration of women to such an extent that women themselves have even started to use it about themselves. Your whole pop culture is a full frontal assault on the dignity and the honor of women. I mean, I'm not even getting into your global crimes against women in the global South. Haiti, Bosnia, the Philippines, Korea, Iraq, Afghanistan. I mean, take your pick. Your soldiers and your contractors trafficked women, raped women, enslaved women, assaulted women, killed women by the thousands. Not to mention how your soldiers rape your own enlisted women systematically, female soldiers getting raped by male soldiers. You think I'm going to just play along with someone from that country, from that so-called civilization? I'm going to play along with someone from that country that's the architect of women's degradation in their country and around the world, the objectification, the exploitation, the commodification. You really think I'm going to play along with any suggestion that you people care about the rights of women, that you care about their freedom to speak out, right? Because when you accuse Muslims, accuse Islam of being oppressive to women, you're trying to misdirect and deflect away from your own monstrous treatment of women, both in your own country and around the world. And you're trying to make it look like you actually uplift and honor women and their dignity and so forth, when the truth is that no culture and no society in human history has ever been more comprehensively atrocious and more atrociously degrading towards women than your society and your culture. You see what I mean? Every time they open their mouths, every time, wallahi, every time they string together words on a keyboard, it is always and only for the purpose of civilizational self-validation, precisely because of the outrageous invalidity at the very foundations of their civilization. Oh, I'm not done. Can women speak out against Islam? Right? This is your question. Okay, there's another aspect to this. And you'll find this all over their discourse. This aspect is all across their discourse, this whole speaking out aspect. Speak out about what? Speak out against what? To whom? You see, injustice is being assumed here. Corruption is being assumed. Oppression is being assumed. And it's also assumed that there are no mechanisms for redress except speaking out. No one cares, no one protects, no one defends. There's no cultural, no religious, no social, no institutional safeguards, no institutional protections in our societies for women, right? No avenues for redress. And on top of all that, women are even barred from speaking out. They're oppressed and muted and alone. No one is with them. No one's on their side. And no one is interested in saving them from all of this misery, right, that we're causing them. No one wants to save them from that except for American and Western rapists and abusers and porn addicts and pimps and killers, right? They need a white Western non-Muslim to come rip off their hijabs and their abayas and put them on OnlyFans, because women's liberation surely must mean allowing them the freedom to finally be the sex objects that Western men need them to be. You see how much is packed into that one little comment, that 5 or 6 words? It's absolutely crammed full of hostility and aggression and bad intent, maliciousness. and false paradigm reinforcement. Like I say, civilizational self-validation through misdirection, through deflection, through slander. Speak out. You don't want women to speak out. You want to turn them out. And then you want to wear them out, and then you want to throw them out. That's your culture.
That's the culture in a nutshell, man. All right. This American society is extremely destructive to people in general. All right. And much more to the woman. Okay. But they call it what? Liberty, freedom. Okay. The right for a woman to destroy herself. They call it liberty and freedom, man. You see? As the scriptures say, okay, give a woman not much liberty, least she destroy herself. Let's get there real quick. But he's going in and he's making a lot of valid points, man. Okay, there's not been a society in history to where women have been allowed to destroy themselves at the level that the American woman is able to destroy herself. Okay, women are extremely unprotected, especially coming in these single mother households. They're unprotected. Okay, they're susceptible to being raped by older men. Okay, with no protection. A lot of stepfathers, a lot of uncles, their mothers, brothers. Okay, older men in the neighborhood, whatever. Okay, the woman is just vulnerable as hell. You see, in this society. See, when you have a patriarch that puts a wall around women, that puts a shield around women, when you have a patriarch, a strong patriarch in place, women are protected. Okay, but when you have a society, okay, that's ran off falsehoods and a matriarch and the woman doing what she want to do, and now you just got these niggas floating around and they're lewd as hell and they're just looking at women as a prey instead of having men with honor and integrity that look at the next man's daughter as if it's his daughter and protect that daughter just like if it was his daughter, going back into love thy neighbors thyself. You see, that's why Yahweh Shah pushed that law alone on this, hang all the law. See, when men looked at other women's daughters, their own daughter, they see a man's daughter, his own daughter, they will protect that man's daughter like it was his own. Okay? Loving thy neighbors thyself. But when you start to operate off the wine of Babylon, you got these women going from situation to situation, the children just out here, these straight niggas just walking around with no guardrails, able to just prey on these women. Okay? And that just becomes the culture. So forth and so on. And then past the community, you have a society, like he said, that's telling women you got to look like this. You got to alter your body because there's never been a society where women was able to get surgery like this. Okay, to begin to annihilate their own body, man, to destroy their own body. Okay, to where you have to, you're mimicking. Okay, filth, man. Okay, this is their society, man. And so forth and so on. And I think let me see. All right, and then the West, cause see, in Western women, and they look at these other women like they don't have the liberty to be ratchet, okay, to be outspoken. See, they think that's cute. You see, the Western women, they think that's cute for the women to be loud, outspoken, all in men's face and snapping and going off and okay, because they ain't at Walmart going crazy. You see, fighting each other, put everywhere, everywhere the nigga woman is on site like beasts. Okay, so if you don't have the liberty to behave like a beast, the Western women look like you was inferior because you don't have the women to go from man to man and situation to situation where you're inferior, man. When it's the exact opposite, man. Okay, the Esau Edom has turned women into beasts savages, okay, to destroy your own house, you know, because you don't have the liberty to financially destroy a man like over here in the West. You know, you don't have a system, okay, that assists you and ruin the man's life. So if you don't have that, then you're inferior. And that's how Western women look at everything, man. And that's why they were so offended as a passport bros, you know, because what's the first thing they start to do? Degrade those women. Oh, those women are poor and this and that. They don't know nothing. You see, because they've been groomed to look at everything outside of their savage behavior as inferior, man. Okay, so let's play this a little more.
That's your approach to women. And if they do speak out, even in your society, your free society, they're feminazis, right? They're radical woke leftists. They're man haters. They're cultural Marxists trying to destroy good family values. Isn't that what you say? Wallahi, you've never had anything but an adversarial relationship between the sexes in the West. It's never been anything but that with you people. The audacity that you could actually think that anyone believes for even a second that you respect women or that you care about the rights of women. The audacity is absolutely stupefying. And like I said, this whole speaking out obsession that you have, because freedom of expression, right? Freedom of expression, protest, democracy, power to the people and whatnot. You're obsessed with this and you're so fixated on your right to speak out. You're fixated on the speaking out part that you totally overlook the never being listened to part. Like I said, you assume that the power structure is going to oppress, whether we're talking about women or we're talking about anything else. You assume that the power is going to oppress, your power structure is going to oppress, that there's going to be corruption and injustice. You assume that no country's leaders actually care about their people, and that the people's only possible avenue for justice against the inevitable injustice is to speak out against the inevitable oppression of their governments. Okay, that's your experience. That's your experience. Your experience in your so-called democratic system, which if it worked as advertised, by the way, would never require you to protest. It would never require you to speak out because it's supposedly already representative, isn't it? Isn't that the idea? It's supposed to be representative. It's supposed to be the most responsive and the most attentive political system there is to the needs of the public, to the wants of the public. Isn't that what you say, right or wrong? So when you don't see people rushing out into the streets and you don't see people protesting and carrying on and whatnot, well, you think that the people must be oppressed. The only explanation is that the people are being muzzled. The only explanation is that they're living under a tyranny. It never occurs to you that they might not be protesting in the streets because their government actually works. Because their government might actually care. Their government might actually be trying to improve their lives. And maybe they actually like their government. Can you imagine that? Maybe they actually appreciate their system. Maybe they actually value their social order. And maybe they genuinely see that type of behavior as disruptive and damaging to their society. Meanwhile, you live in a country where your government, your democratic government, does not listen to you, where your vote does not change the direction of policy in the government, where your protests are at best ignored, at worst are cracked down upon or banned at worst, where you get kicked out of school if you protest, you lose your job if you protest, you go to jail if you speak out, where you are continuously lied to, you're continuously gaslighted, and you are continuously sidelined. Oh, sure, you get to say whatever you want to say. You can say the president is a pedophile. You can say he's a human trafficker. He's a rapist. He's a murderer. You can say whatever you want. You can call your leaders idiots. You can call your leaders criminals. You can say whatever you want. You can call them fascists. You can call them Nazis all day long. So what? What's the outcome? Wallahi, you live in the most bulletproof, invulnerable tyranny in history. All brought to you by your beautiful, enlightened, superior democratic system. This is the truth. You can speak out. Yes, you can speak out. Most of the time on almost anything, you can speak out. No problem. But only because no one cares what you say. You know it and I know it. So don't talk to me about how much you value the right to speak out, the right of women or anybody else to speak out, when you can speak out until the cows come home and never be listened to. You see what I mean? Your brainwashed, brain lost, passive aggressive, whataboutism, snide comment is not doing what you think it's doing. And watch, one of them is going to come in the comment section on this video when it goes up. Someone's going to go in the comment section and say, well, okay, Brother Shahid, but you still didn't answer the question about whether or not women can speak out in Islam. I mean, this is almost guaranteed someone's going to say that. It's almost guaranteed. And then whoever comments that, they'll think they really did something because they can't help it. I'm telling you, the existential panic is too strong. The myth dependency is too deep. And the dysfunction is too incurable. That's why I said, wallahi, I'm sorry to say, but you cannot beneficially engage with them. And it isn't because we're opposed to engaging with them. It's not because we're opposed to dialogue and communication and so forth. No, like I said before, disengagement does not indicate any sort of threat by us or enmity.
And that's important because people pride being able to speak out and tweet and protest, but you don't change nothing. Okay, Esau don't care about you crying and protesting. You don't change anything. Okay, the tractor still roll over your ass, man. Okay, policy still roll over your ass. The dollar declining, homelessness on the rise, depression is on the rise, inflation is on the rise, crime is on the rise. Okay, everything negative is on the rise. Okay, your government, ISIS is being weaponized against its own citizens. You're paying, your taxes are paying for you to be terrorized. Okay, so speaking out, this whole thing of speaking out just because you can press record, okay, what does that mean? And you getting a bunch of likes and praise from people who oppress with you. Okay, nothing is changing because you are able to so-called speak out. It's an illusion that you have some type of voice. Okay, nothing changes. You see, and this is why he said you can't even engage with the West, man. You like, look, it's pointless. And see, on every level, on the social level, people are just, hey, American fatigue. That's a new fatigue. Everybody's fatigue of everything. That's a new fatigue, but we're seeing American fatigue on the social level and on the military level, man. Okay, all the discourse with America is coming to an end. Okay, and the solution, the Lord just gonna send missiles over here, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to get this precept. Then I got another video to show you that you dumb, stupid, okay, American women fought for laws that worked against you. Okay, so let's go here real quick because the scriptures tell you that. All right. This is Sirach 26:10. It says, if thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty, man. Okay, so all this liberty that has been given to women, they just self-destructed. You see, what we're looking at with the modern American woman, especially the nigger woman, it just in crash out phase now, because they've been pushed. They destroyed themselves beyond repair. The majority have destroyed themselves completely beyond repair. They don't have the capability to function in a normal situation. Okay, they've been pushed beyond being able to be functional, okay, in a normal situation. You see? And this is what America does. This is what America produces, man. Okay? So even these women that's on the internet saying, yeah, we were wrong, but see, that still doesn't solve the problem. You still not compatible. Majority of y'all are not compatible. This is what America did to y'all, giving y'all this liberty, man. This the aftermath of it. Yeah, it was fun, just like a night out. Yeah, it's fun when you're drinking and you're on the way up and you're dancing, feeling good, the life of the party. Okay, it's great. But then that morning after that hangover, the headache, you can't function. Okay, you can't even stand up straight without being dizzy, and that's the phase that the modern woman is in, man. Okay, useless. After a heavy night of drinking, the next day you're useless, man. You're completely useless. Okay, and that's the phase of most women that have been given all this liberty in America. They've been pushed into the category of useless, man. Okay, even admitting that damn we were wrong, yeah, but you still useless for the most part, the majority, and the Lord gonna have mercy, of course, on a few sincere sisters that was predestined to be, saved, man. Okay, but just speaking in general of, the women of America, man, all this liberty to speak out and be ratchet and do this and be in this, what they call sexually liberated. What has it done for you? It's produced nothing, okay, but moments of pleasure, overstimulation, okay, and it all ends the same way. So let's go here, because what you had when this devil was pushing this women's liberation, you had this woman, which you had a lot of women that was against, you know, equal rights amendment for women. They wanted to be why they wanted to stay homemakers, man. Okay, well this devil, because this was nothing but another psyops. Okay, this was nothing but another COINTELPRO agenda by the elites, through the CIA to push, okay, women to be, to push for equal rights and, to hate the man and to look at the man as the problem and, okay, to go to war with the patriarch, okay, go to war with structure. And no one took hold of it more than the nigger woman. And no one suffers more from, okay, women's liberation than the nigger woman. Okay, so let's play this and show you that how this devil had women fighting, okay, for their own destruction. Okay, major psyops in the CIA, and this woman here, Betty Friedan, okay, aka Mrs. Doubtfire, was on the front line. Her and that other, all right, lesbo, Gloria Steinem, which was known CIA operative, man. Okay, was on the front line of setting you women up for complete failure, especially the nigger woman. Okay, so let's play this.
It's one of the country's most leading feminists. I'm talking about Betty Friedan. She is the author to The Feminine Mystique.
Look at this nigga, man. This is who y'all rallied behind. This is who y'all rallied around. Okay? Look at this nigga here, man.
Before we get into talking about the pros and cons of
That's one of y'all founding mothers of feminism. Okay?
the Equal Rights Amendment, I think for the benefit of our viewers, it might be kind of interesting to see what it says here in the Equal Rights Amendment. It's very short. When you think of amending the Constitution, something that's very serious, you think that it's lengthy and complicated. The amendment reads as follows. Section 1, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. Section 3, this amendment shall take effect 2 years after the date of ratification. As you can see, it's pretty brief. It's only 52 words. So is the Equal Rights Amendment too vague? Or does the Equal Rights Amendment simply extend women's rights to men, thus equalizing them? What is your opinion? Betty, can we hear from you?
Well, you see, I think we simply must, and I think we should do it rightfully in 1976, 200th year of the Republic, get the Constitution equally applied to women. I mean, we know now, we've spent 10 years really delineating all the areas where sex discrimination exists. Discrimination basically against women, but some ways that men are victims of it too. And we've got a lot of laws that have, we've made some gains to say that it is wrong to have sex discrimination in employment, in education, in pay, in mortgage, in credit, and all these things, even in sports against women. But these laws are not being enforced. And with the economic crisis that we're in now, where, really inflation is giving and layoffs are really facing women with hard times, there's danger even that some of the programs and laws against sex discrimination will be removed. And we need the constitutional guarantee of equality. And we also need it because there are a great many people, especially housewives, who really are discriminated against, whose all the work they have done in the home to help build up whatever income the total family has, and so on and so forth. There is no law that now exists that makes those women who have been working as housewives insured in their own right for old age, for Social Security. There's no insurance that if that marriage should end in divorce, as it is for all too many people, that women's contribution will be considered equally in the disposition of the property. And there is no provision even really, as it is now, to enforce child support, much less alimony for women. We really absolutely need the Equal Rights Amendment to enable all the young women and men that are coming out of law school now to create new bodies of laws that will really protect women.
When you make the laws apply equally to men and women, you end up taking away many of the rights that women now have. For example, the Equal Rights Amendment will make our young women subject to the draft and military combat the next time we have one of these wars that we have every 10 years, because no longer could you have it just apply to males. It would have to apply equally to females. And then ERA is a big attack on the rights of the homemaker. The laws of every state make it the obligation of the husband to support his wife, to provide her with a home, to support their minor children. The woman in the home can draw Social Security benefits based on her husband's earnings, even though she's been a homemaker all her life. Now, all these things will be lost when you apply a rule that says that everything must be equal. Now, until you can make it equal for men to have the babies just like women, then it is a double burden to the women to say that the rules for family support should be equal on the husband and the wife.
And she was talking with plenty of sense. All right. Her name is Phyllis Scapely. You can look up more of her interviews, and she goes in because she peeped the play. They cut her out of getting into office. She ran for office a few times. Her husband was a lawyer. I think her husband was a politician. I don't know if he was a senator or a House of Representative. I ain't looked into a while. Okay. But yeah, she really knew that law, and she understood what these devils was doing, and she could be an Edomite. All right. She looked like an Edomite. She could be. But one thing I know, she peeped the play, and she didn't want to, she was defending the homemaker, the housewives, because it was, the woman had it set up. Okay, the woman could draw Social Security off her husband's income. Okay, as a homemaker, she could, use store credit based off her husband's income. She could go to the store, get store credit based off her husband's income. Okay, and there's a lot of things that these states had in place for the homemaker, the wife. See, women's equality for these hoes, because this woman is married. All right, Betty Ferdinand, she's a bitter. She got divorced. Okay, and I can see why she got divorced just based on the visuals. Okay, and I know their voice and their visual. That nigga woke up one day, seen that nigga, man, and he's like, this, I'm out, man. But yeah, all jokes aside, now Felice Scapely, she used to make a lot of good points, man. And she was defending homemakers, and she would bring up certain laws that women would win. And then she was telling you dumb, stupid ass women, okay, that they was making it to where now they can draft your dumb ass just like they draft men. Okay? And guess what? Now you women are required to pay all your bills. Okay, you cry about, going 50-50. Well, this is what you fought for. You women fought to go 50-50. Okay, you fought tooth and nail to go 50-50. ERA, Equal Rights Amendments. Okay, you fight to go to work 40, 50, 60 hours. Okay, now you're complaining about the things you already had. It was already set up for the economy was set up for women to be homemakers, and a woman and a man could provide for his family off of one income. It was already set up like that. Okay, now you women, okay, want the man to pay 100%. That was already the norm. Okay, you don't want to do 50-50, you want 100%. That was the norm. You fought for 50-50, stupid. Okay, this is what your mothers and your grandmothers went to war about, and then they told you like it was something great. Okay, they taught you to be rebellious like it was something great. Play a little bit more of this and watch how these idiots listen to these two idiots. Okay, the nigga woman, all right, and this little bulldog over here, man.
ERA ends up in taking away the right of the wife to be supported by her husband and to have the right of to get credit in the stores based on her husband's earnings and all the rights of a wife.
Can we talk about the draft? We know that the draft so far has been abolished until a national emergency, and already women are serving in the armed forces and the military.
Yes, and they have the best of both worlds. They have the same pay, the same rank, the same fringe benefits, but they're kept out of combat. And you know, men would be glad to take that kind of a deal if they could get it.
Wouldn't they be subject to the same exemptions as any man?
Well, but there were millions of people who served. Since the end of World War II, there have been 5 million young men drafted. Now, do you want 5 million young women drafted involuntarily and sent in off to these wars that the politicians will surely get us into again?
I see. I really don't. I mean, you have real reasons, okay, but not hypocritical ones and not false ones. There is no draft now. I don't want another draft in 10 years. I don't think, I mean, I don't.
But you know we'll get one.
No, I don't at all. There is nothing inevitable about war. And
Well,
I think the American people have learned a lot from the Vietnam War, and there won't be, again, so easy a way of risking the lives of American boys or girls.
Oh, a lot
women.
of naive people said that after Korea. Well, we'll never get involved in another Asian war after Korea.
It's our responsibility that we not get involved. If there is such a thing as a just and necessary war, though, for the defense of the nation, there isn't any reason that women should be exempt on the basis of sex.
Well,
no reason at all. I mean, why your daughter or mine should have any, right not to
because she really don't know what the hell she talking about. Okay, she just a bitter, divorced woman. Okay, she don't know what the hell she talking about, man. She's stumbling and bumbling. Well, watch what her and Eve finna agree upon, man. Listen to what they gonna agree upon.
When the sun's
okay, well, that's a fundamental difference between those who are for ERA and those who are against it. You think my daughter should serve. I think women should have the choice not to serve.
I think a woman wouldn't want her son killed any more than she'd want her daughter killed.
Right. Why discriminate against?
That's right. Shouldn't a woman have a right to defend her country as a man has a right?
She's got the
right to. So Eve is for sending women into combat. Okay. You see, no one took hold of this women's equality like the nigga woman. Okay, so this is somebody's, grandmother. Okay, now, she passed that wine to the woman. All right, her daughter, and her daughter passing on to her daughter, and you have what we have now. Okay, you see how women fought to go to war, fought to go to work, fought to pay bills. Okay, Esau, the serpent got you again. Serpent got your ass again, man. Okay, your simple ass fell for the same thing again. You left protection, you left provision, you left structure. Okay, you left peace. You see? So go out in the world with this liberty and get pummeled. Okay, and now 2026, you go on TikTok, you see the results. Me, my 108 day of being homeless. Me and my 4 children Walmart parking lot, day 108, being homeless. Okay? Well, this where it started, man. Look at this nigga. You know she was giving niggas hell. Yo, she was giving Jay hell. You know?
Right. If she feels that's her obligation, I think she should run, not walk, to the nearest recruiting office and sign up. But you are absolutely taking away the rights of the young women by ERA, and you have to be kidding to call that an advance for women.
Can we move on to another point, support?
Yeah, so it's a pretty good interview. I just want to, show that. That's a pretty good interview. And there's plenty of others, that she has, y'all interested in looking at it. But yeah, man, Esau, and this the only solution. Let's get down to the gritty. Okay, let's go to 2 Peter. All right, this is the book of 2 Peter, chapter 3, and verse 10. It's in the AMP. It says, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night, and the heavens will vanish with a mighty and thunderous roar, and the material elements will be destroyed with intense heat." Man, that's the nukes melting America, man. Okay, this the solution, because you have someone look at this and still try to defend feminism and defend. You see the atrocities of feminism, and you still gonna have people because they're it's to the point that it's instilled in them to defend. All right, this toxic situation called America, man. Okay, so the Lord response is just going to be to melt this bitch. Okay, literally, man. And the earth and the works that are on it will be burnt up, man. Okay, so everything that this devil has established, man, it ends in this war. Okay, the Lord finna end this bitch, man. Okay, because all this rebellion comes from Babylon. So the Lord finna melt Babylon, man. Okay. So I'm looking on. I'm jumping to verse 13. He said, "But in accordance with his promise, we expectantly wait new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells, man." So it's just time for a new rulership, time for a righteous government. That's what we await. Okay. Yahweh Shai to bring in and establish a righteous government after this third world war. Okay. In which you stupid ass women gonna be drafted, okay, flown over there, okay, to Saudi Arabia, okay, to be cannon fodder. You see? And that's what you fought for. Okay, so yeah, you won. You got everything you fought for. You see? So Lord will, you brothers and you sisters edified to the next time I say Shalom, Kwame Shalom, Abba Shalom.